Last week, the mayor of Kansas City joined us and said he was looking forward to a day when we would not have to talk about stadiums, but that day is not today. I hate to break it to him, but here we are. Mayor Quinton Lucas on KCMO. Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Always appreciate your time. And it looks like you are no longer in a competition with just 119th and all or the Legends or whatever Kansas, makes up. Now you've got your friends up north back in the mix over the last couple of days. Why have the Royals not accepted your $1 billion offer?
First, I think we still need legislative action to make sure that we can get our offer solidified. I think that would be the same case for Clay County, unless the private investors are looking to put even more in. What I say is, in some ways, with the rest of the region, let's just get this solved and figured out. We would absolutely love to have the Royals in downtown Kansas City. I think it makes a whole lot of sense. If they don't go there, North Kansas City is certainly a very good option. Of course, it's completely surrounded by Kansas City, Missouri, and probably still itself a boon for downtown. And frankly, with some of the incentives that we're looking at, one could question how many additional tax revenues are even coming to the city based out of it. So, look, I actually get the financial play for us as well in having it there. That being said, I do think because of what we've done with streetcar investment, Crown Center 50 years ago, lots of other steps, it makes a whole lot of sense in downtown Kansas City. North Kansas City is a superior location, I think, to what we all call the Sprint campus, and it sounds like that's completely off the table. Apologies to people down the radio dial from you. But, I just hope we get something done at this point. That's more the thing. This has been a very, very long soap opera. I believe the stadium conversation downtown has now reached its 8th birthday. And so I'm happy to work with anybody to get it done, even if that's a collaborative effort on what incentives look like and all of that between Kansas City, Missouri, North Kansas City, Clay County, Jackson County, and others. And so I want to see progress there. The only thing that concerns me is that we don't talk the Chiefs enough. I think everybody's existed in this world of, it kind of looks like they're staying in Truman Sports Complex with whatever the future there looks like. That being said, I'd like to make sure that gets solidified because I think that is key for long-term development in that part of the city and the county.
If someone were to say to you, listen, Mr. Mayor, the Royals might go up north, but it guarantees that you keep the Chiefs in Kansas City, Missouri, and in Jackson County versus taking the risk that they may go to the other side of the state line and look out west on I-70, would you sign up for that deal? Yeah, I would. I mean, look, it's not my preferred outcome, but a few things that I think are important in that. I mean, I actually think if they moved out, and maybe I'm going to sound dramatic, but if they moved out to Wyandotte County, that is long-term bad for the region for a number of different reasons, one of which is that I think that you abandon really the population rich. A lot of people like to perhaps hate on Jackson County, but Blue Springs, Independence, everybody in Eastern Jack, even Lee Summit, that is an important node of our region. Separating or taking out I think a fundamental regional asset from that edge of our region is going to be bad. It's going to be bad for the center of gravity in the Missouri side suburbs, particularly, of course, where a lot of my conservative friends live. So I think it is important to keep activity at the Truman Sports Complex. We also deal with a giant empty ground, of course, if you see both teams leave. I think downtown's obviously preferred. You're close to all the hotels. You're close to walkability, all that sort of stuff. And I think we're all seeing a fundamental challenge in some ways, right, which is that to have a stadium work, you want all those amenities nearby. One of the challenges right now with the downtown Kansas City location, although wonderful to all of us as normal people, but it's the question of how much can the Royals actually own and control. Crown Center, of course, is owned by the Hall family interests, Hallmark, and others, and so they can capture a lot of those revenues. I get why, and this is, I think, why you continue to see that campus discussion. Because, of course, Royals want ownership interest in hotels, a lot of the other things that helps generate revenue for the team. I don't actually think at this point it's really a leadership question. It's a money. It's how they think they can generate best for the Royals and the tax incentives at issue. And I certainly prefer that all being in Missouri. And so I'm with my colleagues in the legislature on that one. Now, when you look at what the future may hold on this front, obviously, county leadership remains kind of up in the air. You got this property tax debacle as well that needs to be figured out here. Knowing the state politics as you do, the county politics, and obviously being in charge of the city, how should the average Kansas Citian and, frankly, average resident in the region read into what exactly the relationship is between the city, the county, and the state right now to try to maintain, as you said, what goes on right now at Truman Sports Complex, at least with one of these two teams?
I'll say this first. I think that sometimes, and look, the politics are interesting, and you get to, see me and Andrew Bailey battle royale and all that sort of stuff. But people are actually very professional. I have to give incredible credit to the Missouri Department of Economic Development. Same commissioner from the Parson administration remains and has been appointed by Governor Kehoe. I think Governor Kehoe's office is a strong one. And again, we have material disagreements on political issues, but where it's building money for the people of Missouri long term and making sure we don't lose huge economic development assets, I think we're all aligned. I think, I'll let Jackson County speak for itself. I think there are some different things that perhaps are fueling them, and certainly there is a lot of attention to the property tax conversation. I do think, at least from what I've heard on intimations, the chiefs are and Jackson County are having more conversations. I hope they have more material ones. Jackson County is very important in that discussion because they are the owner of Arrowhead Stadium, and of course they have the tool that I think people would still like to employ for the future of it. In terms of the Royals, no, I think look, I work at City Hall in Kansas City. I am probably as close, maybe it's a slightly further distance, but I'm pretty darn close to where North Kansas City Stadium would be, and I'm pretty down close to where Crown Center Stadium would be. Both would be economic boons for Kansas City, Missouri long term. This does not mean, by the way, I know some people try to read between the lines, Quinton waving the white flag. The answer is no. But I do think that, we need to get out of, where are we, like at the bottom of the eighth right now? And it's time to complete this game. We need to bring in a closer. I think Governor Kehoe is that person, and I think we'll get something done here soon.
Mayor Quinton Lucas is on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I do want to ask, you had a press conference earlier in the week, of course, around this police officer in Kansas City, Missouri downtown that thankfully is going to be okay. He got run over by a guy in an ATV that he was trying to apprehend. We talked to Brad Lemon, who you know well, Fraternal Order of Police president, earlier in the week about this. And one thing he referenced is having more tools, not just physically, but also potentially legally available to police officers to slow stuff like this down. So what do those tools in your eyes look like, and how can you implement them?
Yeah, I mean, look, Brad and I are in a good place right now. It's not every day, but I'm glad to hear. I think we're aligned on this one. First of all, City Council, when they've been introduced by me in most situations, we continue to pass ordinances and whatever ordinance the police department gives us to try to make sure that you can seize and impound those vehicles. It's my view, actually, which is distinct a bit from the police department right now, that we have passed tools that give that remedy to them. Certainly you can seize them. That's a Fourth Amendment basic kind of search and seizure type of thing. If somebody's suspected for criminal activity, you think it has some ongoing harm, et cetera, I think there is enough legal work there to seize the vehicles. We plan to work with the police department's legal folks to make sure that that's something we see. I know they're pursuing further state legislation, but look, I think I've talked to a bunch of mayors this week, and as you know, I was over in St. Louis earlier this week talking actually to their police chief, who's a good man. Every city wants to have more tools for this. These people have no regard for human life, for any type of social standards and others. I think that we do need to make sure that their vehicles are seized, even if they're stolen. It starts to cut down on the activity and the deterrence. We do not need to see any ATVs on the streets. And to the people, I hear from a lot of people that are saying, oh, you guys didn't care before the officer was injured. We actually had an officer out trying to apprehend these people. Right? I mean, it's baffling to me. They're like, oh, yeah, PD didn't care. No, we've had squads out. You have people doing the work. This is a huge social harm in many American cities, and I'd add a lot of our suburbs, too. And so I think we will look to enhance whatever tools we could. But look, if I could actually tell the police anything directly right now, I would say start seizing them. Look, we'll do the legal work for you. We'll defend you if somebody wants to bring some constitutional claim. As you know, Pete, I'm a defendant in like 800 cases. So happy to add another one to get this foolishness off our streets.
And just out of curiosity, I don't know culturally or social media-wise where this new trend of ATVs and dirt bikes downtown came from. I mean, I lived downtown for a period of time. I don't remember this at all. So for people just kind of wondering, because I have thought about it myself this week, where's this trend coming from and why is it happening, especially if you're saying it's not exclusive to Kansas City, Missouri?
Yeah, I mean, I think you are seeing a lot. It's social media, and, social media can be good, but God knows it's bad in a lot of ways. These kids are trying to stunt. and grown men. But yeah, they're trying to show off in front of a bunch of people. So where years ago, even when we were probably in high school, Pete, to the extent people have these fast cars, you're going to a place where you can race them. You're going to a place kind of where you have more space and all of that. And frankly, right, where, you know, you have to get a crowd to see you. Now, all you need is somebody to show up, record you. It shows you doing wheelies or something in the middle of a downtown street. You look cool. You're up on two wheels or something, and you're doing it for the Instagram likes. This is a social media craze where people want to be seen. Because I was talking to a mayor from the country who was just kind of like, well, don't people just want to be on a farm and, like, you know, dirt bike that way? No, I think that's fun. But a lot of these folks aren't going for that. It's not to see the power of the vehicle, your talent with it. It is to get likes, because this is a new form of cool. This is problematic. It's just like you're seeing in other criminal incidents where people are breaking into stores, where they're doing all types of things. It's for the likes. It's to look hard. It's to be in the conflict with the police. It's to outrun them. This is the sort of thing, the best comparison I could say, and I'm a big rap music fan, don't get me wrong. But you remember when gangster rap came around and there was kind of this view of, like, you know, running from the police or outsmarting them or something. This is a newer version, and the challenge was those videos had to be professionally produced in Hollywood and other places. Now, anybody on their phone is doing them, and that's why I think we're seeing an abundance of this activity, too. In addition to general lack of respect for authority, folks don't go to church, all that sort of stuff, too.
Well, we hope, of course, that KCPD, I know it's just starting to get into that warm season, but they will be able to do whatever they can to keep that in check as much as they can. Thank you, as always, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate the time, and we will talk to you next week.
Hey, happy Easter, everybody. We'll see you next week.
You as well. Mr. Mayor, Quinton Lucas on KCMO 95.7 FM.